Changing Geopolitics Equations. So we will be calling upon the speakers just in a minute, and we will start right away. So please do not go anywhere. This is going to be a very informative and very, very good session for this afternoon. So just a few minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm going to just announce the names of the speakers, and if you're here, please join us on the stage. I know Arzu Ozyol is here. Welcome, Arzu. She's the CEO, Hydra Project and Consulting Company. Welcome. What about a little bit of clapping, a little bit of warmth, a little bit of woohoo? And Arzu is from Turkey. Do we have Damjana? Dr. Jitendra Kumar Tripathi? Julianne Robertson? You know what? I'm going to skip to Sarah Ross. Come on over, Sarah. She's the CEO of Ross Global Consulting. Welcome, Sarah. That's what we do.
They didn't change it. Oh no, I'm from Switzerland. That's really
Oh, wow. She's from Switzerland, not Swaziland. Welcome, sir. Let's have a warm round of applause. LaShonda Bracey, CEO, HealthWorks. Welcome. So beautiful to have you on stage. Louise Bennett, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain. Onuzo Iyanam. The woohoos are here. Where's my Muna? Sanjana Mohan. Sonia Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi, yes. Welcome, Sonia. If you see any of the other speakers, please send them up. We're being, yeah? My bad. So please. I do request, and my apologies, last but not the least, welcome. Please come. Dr. Kaarthikeyan. So please join us. Advisor, Law, Human Rights, Corporate Affairs from India. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come together a little bit closer, this would be so great. And we'll make it more cozy in here. Out in the back, should we use the first two rows and come closer in? I don't see any movement happening here. Let's get a little bit of movement. Yes, we do. We see movement. Ladies in the back, would you like to come in the front? We're going to start doing a roll call now. Welcome. Lovely to have you with us. Sanjana Mohan joins us. I'm going to keep clapping so each one of you give our audience a beautiful round of applause. It takes a lot to be here, ladies. You know that, and gentlemen. My absolute privilege to initiate this discussion this afternoon. We're talking about understanding global governance, business ethics, and changing geopolitical equations. I call on Arzu Ozyol to come and speak with us. She comes from Turkey. Welcome, ma'am.
I know all of them are very tired, but
No, we're not. No.
I am coming to speak in these very special occasions, and thank you to Sister Aurora and her team. It is wonderful. Today, changing in geopolitical equations push many national governments to reverse the traditional thinking that strict security measures and state control for ensuring their socioeconomic sustainability. Instead, they must realize that socioeconomic sustainability and a sense of social inclusion is paramount to improve the security of the region. At times, oil-dependent governments have announced economic reforms when the commodity price has been depressed, but when prices recover, implementation is halted, keeping meaningful socioeconomic development an illusion, but reform is more needed than ever before. Current energy policies are critical for the most of the economies all over the world, not only for the Middle East countries. The politicization of oil prices could hurt the shale oil boom in the United States and Canada, especially if there is a sharp drop in value. Half of Chinese population create a demand for the industry-related items, when it causes exponentially growing demand for the energy. Furthermore, Japan's energy demand is going in reverse as energy security. Following the Fukushima case, mutual interaction between the energy demand and energy security has gained more relevance. Although many developed countries are boosting research and development spending on alternative energy sources, the progressive alternative energy policies of Europe still demonstrates that fossil fuel dependency does not disappear overnight. In short, energy politics must change from being divisive to an enabler of sustainable and inclusive economic growth. Due to the globalization, cultural imperialism, and fundamental transformation in conventional geopolitical equation, many new practical issues arise out of the international context of business. And so, commerce has become more complicated and dynamic, while organizations realized they needed more guidance to ensure their dealings supported the common good and did not harm the others. In other words, traditional management model was superseded by the new generation managerial approach. And the term of corporate governance has emerged to the context of managerial paradigm. For example, today, most major corporate websites lay emphasis on commitment to promote non-economic social values under a variety of headings. In some cases, corporations have redefined their core values in the light of business ethical consideration. For example, BP's Beyond Petroleum is very famous environmental tilt. On the other hand, the link between sustainable development and corporate governance may not look obvious, but it exists. Companies cannot talk of good corporate governance if they do not act responsibly by balancing social, economic, and environmental challenges, which form the core of sustainable development. In the developed countries, a company that does not meet sustainable development standards is perceived negatively by investors, customers, and other stakeholders. Additionally, they have a risk of losing business license. Corporate governance consists of a set of processes, customs, policies, laws, and institutions to affect the way of managerial process. By implementing the principles of corporate sustainability, especially in business operations and supply chain management, it would be possible to provide a common ground for partners, a moral code for employees, and accountability measure for critics. Business leaders should also recognize the working with all relevant stakeholders is the key strategy to shatter barriers, increase the odds of success. Consequently, we should embrace that it might not be easy to provide sustainability in business practices because sustainability requires a long-term vision and commitment to ongoing efforts, both to ensure progress and keep pace with a rapidly changing world. But sustainability can also increase revenue, reduce energy expenses, reduce waste expenses, reduce materials and water expenses, increase employee productivity, reduce hiring and attrition expenses, and reduce strategic and operational risk. Furthermore, sustainable business practices may attract talent and generate tax breaks. In short, it is the only way to access the future we want. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for generating that generous amount of information with us. We appreciate it, and you being here. Thank you. I do call upon Dr. D.R. Kaarthikeyan. Sorry to interrupt. Would you like to speak with us? Please, sir. I invite you onto the podium to share your views. Yes, please. That would be wonderful. Yes, would you like this? You look surprised.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, there are many things in life, which worth sharing in my long. But now I will only confine myself to the theme, nothing is impossible. Only one short episode in my life I would like to share with you. I belong to the Indian Police Service. I did many things in life and retired as Director of the Central Bureau of Investigation. That is the counterpart of the FBI. My book I was the chief investigator of Rajiv Gandhi assassination. The President of India, Dr. Abdul Kalam, when he released my book, he liked a passage. He read out that passage. He said, I liked it because that's true of my life also, he said. That read, nothing is impossible. What is considered impossible takes long time, enormous effort, and considerable risk. He said, why did you write like that? He asked me. I said, when the former Prime Minister of India, Rajiv Gandhi, was assassinated, 21st May 1991, I was in Hyderabad. I was in the Central Reserve Police Force. The call came from Delhi. requesting please take up the investigation because it's a blind case. Both the intelligence agencies say it could have been. We don't know, we have no idea. It may end up like Kennedy assassination. They said like this, that is undetected. So I said, call of duty, I took it up. Later on, I came to know my colleagues in Delhi refused to take it up because either if you don't detect it, they will be condemned. If you detect it, some deadly terrorist group will kill you and your family. I accepted it as call of duty to the nation. So when I landed in Madras by a special flight, everybody said, sir, why did you take it up? There's nothing. 18 bodies are lying, including Rajiv Gandhi, beyond recognition, and one head, 2 legs, and 1 arm. Beyond that, there's no clue. And I said, don't demotivate me. I have accepted a task, we must do it. So my handwriting is not good. So one of my junior officers, I asked him to write this message and put it up behind my desk. He said, don't try to demotivate me. That's why I said nothing is impossible. And within 3 weeks, we detected, identified the killers, and it was investigating those people living in another country, Sri Lanka, and even the government had no jurisdiction in that area. They ran their own territory. Enormous efforts, enormous risk, of course, threat to my life was there. Again, I told the people asked me, are you not scared? I said, no, because I believe that life, birth and death are preordained.
Wow, beautiful.
So I said, for those who do not believe in it, it makes no difference. But in my case, it worked for me because I had no fear. Yes, there were threats were there. They tried to bomb my building, tried to kill and all that. I said, once born, you have to die. One day, everybody has to go. Even the so-called avatars or God men or women have to go. And I believe that the death is also preordained. When I will die, how I will die, where I will die is all decided. Only thing is I will not know, but I will die only once. And till that date comes, nobody can take me. And once it comes, nobody can keep me. So I said, nothing is impossible. So Dr. Abdul Kalam, the most popular president of India, Bharat Ratna, the great scientist and all that. These 2 things I admired. I also said, you have to be prepared to take risks in life, in business or anywhere. If you won't want to do anything, you have to keep quiet. If you want to do something in life, you have to agree to take some steps. That's why I read, if you walk, there's a possibility of stumbling. If you walk fast, the chances are more. But I said, if you had to run all the time against all odds, like I had to do in my investigation, yes, there have been some slip-ups here and there. If you want to avoid those risks, then you'll do nothing in life. So ladies and gentlemen, let us do our best on the right path, accept risks also. When there is failure, you learn more. Success, we enjoy. Failures teach us lessons. That's all. We can go on talking like this. It's not only philosophy, it's the reality of life. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here with all of you.
Thank you so much. Here's to your undying spirit and call of duty. Thank you. We salute you. Beautiful. You have really inspired us this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So would you like to come up or speak from your seat? Okay. So then I will introduce you. We will hear from Dr. Jitendra Kumar Tripathi. He's the Joint Secretary, University Grants Commission, Delhi. Welcome, sir. Please share with us your views.
First of all, I would like to thank you, WEF, for giving me an opportunity to be here. So, it is a matter of indeed great pleasure for me to be in front of you. So, as all of you know, that any country cannot develop without the development of the women. So, on the similar lines, I would like to draw your attention regarding the education in which Government of India especially wants to contribute and contributing to empower the women more and more. So, Government of India, if you see the trend, GER, gross enrollment ratio of the students, if you take all over the country, then women ratio has increased tremendously from last 10 to 20 years. And on that ground, Government of India and University Grants Commission is providing lot of opportunities for women students, girls students, giving lot of funds for having women hostels in the university, colleges, sports activities, separate hostels, separate schemes for girls' child. And on the result of that, we have seen the increase in the enrollment ratio. So now we are having, in some universities and colleges, the percentage of girls students is more than the boys students. So this is the result of our efforts and dedication for empowering women. So as most of the places we say, university or colleges is nothing if students are not there. So on the similar lines, we can say the college or university is nothing if the percentage of girls students are not there. So day by day, the enrollment ratio and girls students are increasing. Not only that, Government of India has created a number of awareness programs to avoid the harassment of girls students in the university colleges. We have made different kind of committees to stop that. And accordingly, we have seen the results also, that now the cases of harassment and other things are not there. So at present, I am in the University Grants Commission and looking after the central universities, specifically providing the grants and implementation of various schemes. So government is trying to encourage more and more girls students to go for higher studies, research, and also to go to abroad for conducting the various kind of research, specifically in science and technologies and defense. So we hope that this forum will day by day encourage the girls and women to take part in various activities and to encourage the girls to go for higher studies for overall development of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's fantastic to know all the efforts that are taking place, because that's a very sensitive and critical area that we need a lot more work to be happening. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. With that, I invite LaShonda Bracey to speak with us and inspire us with her story. Thank you. She's the CEO of HealthWorks. And a little bit more from her.
I didn't realize I was that tall. Good afternoon, everyone. It's afternoon now, right? I'm here today to talk to you about using your business and having government contracts. No matter where you are in the world, no matter what you do, your governments offer contracts to small businesses. So most of us aren't 9-to-5ers if we are business owners. So I want you to not be a 9-to-5er and be business ready. When it comes to government contracting, anything that's sold in the regular world, anything that's sold to private sector, the government purchases. Our governments all over the world purchase our products and services daily. So the first thing you've got to do is understand and plan. Be ready. Know what your government sells. Know what your different entities sell. I'm from the United States, so there are over 123 agencies that sell and purchase what we buy every day. So for instance, our DOD or our defense organizations purchase training. I own a training company. Our USDA purchases foods and services. So you need to understand what agency you're attracted to is purchasing and how to actually sell to them. Understand what your planning should be, understand what your pricing should be. So you've got to do research. Be clear on what you're selling, be clear on who you're trying to sell it to. Make sure you understand exactly what you do. Make sure you understand how to network and who to network to. You can't network to every government agency with your product and service. You need to network to the organization that is purchasing what you sell. You can also schedule meetings with your small business organizations within your governments so you can sell your products and services to them. In the United States, we have what's known as mini meetings. So you can schedule a 15-minute meeting with someone who you want to sell your products or services to. You also want to connect. There's a thing that we have in the United States, and it's called be persistent but not pesky, if that makes sense to anyone. So you want to be very persistent, but you don't want to scare people away by annoying them and constantly calling them. You also want to make sure that what you're selling is a good fit and the individuals you are working with is a good fit, because you want these to be long-lasting relationships. So you've got a couple of choices. You can do it the hard way, or you can do it the easy way. In America, probably about $300 trillion is purchased by small businesses every year. So if you're a training company, for instance, maybe you want to offer training services to several different agencies within your governments. If you sell food products, then maybe you want to sell food products to several different agencies in your governments. Whatever you sell, if you sell nails, the first business actually got started by an individual that was in the military that sold nails to the military in the United States. And if there are any questions, I'm free to take them at this time. I think I've got a minute or two left.
We can take one question.
One question. Somebody, anybody?
Or we can take them even after.
Okay. Thank you all so much for your time today.
Thank you. I think we're taking your easy way of clarity and connection. I think that's definitely the way to go. My pleasure to invite Muna once again on the dais to speak and inspire and infuse us with all that goodness that she's full of.
I hope you're not setting me up for failure. Hello, everybody. Do I need to use this or bring it down? No. Okay. Hello, Soul Sisters. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Muna Onuzo. I was bumped up from Friday to Wednesday, and I'm speaking on governance. And looking at governance, I'll be coming from the point of view of positioning. Positioning in terms of when we look at the first world and we look at the developing worlds in terms of where are they and what are they doing? How have they been able to position themselves? Governance, in my view, I like to simplify things and make it more understandable, let everybody understand what it's really about, because it's easy to throw out a lot of buzzwords. Governance, ethics, discipline, yada, 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 policies. But at the end of the day, how does that boil down to you and I in our little businesses, where we are? How does that affect us? How does that affect our economy? How does that affect our reputation internationally? That is what, for me, is interesting when I hear about global governance. We look at countries like America, recently India and China, all a part of the, I think, G20 summit and all of that. They are representing the developing worlds and the issues that affect the developing world. Now, the question is, why have they been able to be accepted into this position without other countries being looked at? That is where positioning comes in. And for me, every country is a reflection of their leadership. What has your leadership put in store to grow your economy? What are the policies that have been put in place to ensure that SMEs, to ensure that corporates, multinationals that come into an environment can function and work? What are the rules or guidelines that govern businesses? We keep hearing about international cases of fraud, bribery, and all of that. Is it that there's no transparency between global businesses or how businesses are done globally? These are the questions and issues that we should ask ourselves. And today we are here on this platform as women in business, entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders of great organizations. How have we, in our own little environment, put governance or policies that would guide our growth, our scale? Sometimes when we run businesses, we don't realize that we need to look at these things, that they are very relevant and important to our growth and to the things that we need to do. So as women, it behoves us to make sure that wherever we find ourselves, whether in politics, whether in NGOs, whether we are in industries, manufacturing, we must step up and be responsible in everything that we are doing, in every business that we find ourselves in every relationship or transaction that we are involved in. Transparency, integrity. These are things that we have to hold up in place. As I stand here, I'm not standing just as Muna, but I'm standing as a Nigerian representing my country. And that is the most important thing. How I conduct myself is a reflection of how my company or my organization or my country is perceived. So as we go from here today, let us have that at the back of our minds, that governance starts from you and I, starts from our home, translates to our businesses, and then to the government itself, because it's made up of people, and people are you and I. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I didn't mean to ring the bell, but that was beautiful. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to welcome two more speakers this afternoon. I'll walk with you. I have with me Julianne Robertson. She's a senior pastor, International Spiritual Center, USA. Welcome, Julianne. Shall we show her how we welcome our guests? Yes, like that. And I have Louise Bennett from the UK. Welcome, Louise. Thank you for coming all the way. From Birmingham. Beautiful, thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Julianne Robertson, and I'm here from the United States. I've been a corporate lawyer for many years, and I'm also an ordained minister. And the analytical ability that it takes to determine what's right and wrong in a court of law, and the spiritual ability that it takes to determine what's right or wrong before God. It's the same job, it's the same skill set, and what I want to do today is to make the case that corporate governance and spiritual governance can be the same thing. One of the cases that stands out in my mind, I probably shouldn't say the name, but I will say that the two major international mining companies in the world, one is headquartered in Spain, the other one is headquartered in Australia. And both of these companies made a major find of very pure, high-grade iron ore in Zimbabwe. And once those two companies began to compete for access to this mineral, they began an epic, legendary even, competition to engage their leadership with the leadership of the country of Zimbabwe. And among the documents that we saw in our legal representation were documents indicating that the company, I keep wanting to say the corporate name and I don't want to get in trouble. The corporation began to wine and dine the governmental leadership in Zimbabwe. They knew the favorite colors of the leadership, their children, their children's friends, expensive gifts, trips, all kinds of accommodations were put forward to the leadership of Zimbabwe so that they could have an opportunity to access the iron ore without paying due compensation. One of the things that really puts the people of any country at a disadvantage is when Western corporations, and we love France, Denmark, Germany, Spain, we love you, but please pay the people in the places where you find these valuable minerals. Build roads, build schools, elevate the people where they are and bring them to a place of true economic parity. Don't go and give a Rolex watch to the president or the president's daughter, and on your way to the governmental palace, drive past the squalor and the poverty and the deprivation. Build the people up. In the country of Nigeria, we recently saw the horrible atrocity of Boko Haram coming to abduct young girls and hold them hostage. When Boko Haram committed this act, it was purportedly in the name of preventing young women from receiving an education. And they did this in the name of Islam. I want you to know that as an interfaith minister, my job is to find the harmony between all of the faith traditions. And looking to the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and then also looking at the I Ching and the Bible and the Talmud and the Quran, finding the values of truth, peace, harmony, compassion, and universal unconditional love. And so we look to the value system expressed in those scriptures to determine how governance should take place. And so I look at the way that mining company approached access to minerals, and I feel as if both the governance and the corporate behavior could have reached a higher level of ethics. And we look to the scriptures and we look to our own innate value system. What's right or wrong? What feels right to determine how we should behave and how we should demand that our governors and our corporate entities should act. So that's what I wanted to offer today.
Thank you so much, Julianne. It's so heart-rending to see what a universal spiritualist you are, with your knowledge of the Upanishads and the Quran, beautiful, and the Bible. That's it. We're all saying the same thing. And that's how governance should be done. We already know it. Just needs to be, the message needs to be sent back home once again. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to invite the lovely Sarah Ross, she knows it, to speak with us and introduce herself.
Thank you, Mansi.
Thank you, Sarah.
It's always a pleasure to get up on stage when somebody treats you like that before you're about to speak. My name's Sarah Ross. I'm the CEO and founder of Empowering Compliance. A year ago when I stood on this stage, I was the CEO of Ross Global Consulting, a company that I had run for best part of 15 months, but never quite felt that it matched who I was or what I wanted to put out into the world. And so today, talking on business ethics and governance, this is really at the heart of what my company is about. It's about driving business success with integrity, leveling the playing field for everybody in the market so that how we act and what we do becomes more important than what we just say to make it look right. Doing what is right, not just what is easy, or in some cases, what is most profitable. I spent 4.5 years building a compliance program for a large pharmaceutical company. We spent 4 years putting in policies, processes, and I spent most of my time on a plane visiting countries and training people on ethical behavior. And at the end of those 4 years, the company turned around and in those 50 countries where we had tried to make a difference, told us that they would pull out of those countries because there wasn't enough profit margin in them. And for a company whose trademark or whose mission statement is to care and to cure, for me, once that became to care and cure at the right profit margin, that was the time for me to leave and take my own path in business ethics. Now, a compliance officer is not your favorite person in an organization, but at no point should they just become the name on an organizational chart. They need to have a voice, they need to have a presence, and more importantly, they need to be visible. If compliance works with a business, if compliance is allowed to work with a business, then you can have business success and it's sustainable. But if you leave compliance in the cupboard, if you leave compliance in an office and shut the door and only call them when something goes wrong, then the sustainability of your business will be brought into question. I like to look at compliance as Formula One. If your compliance function, your compliance program is a Formula One car, then compliance is in the pit crew. They're changing the wheels, they're changing fueling, making sure that that car reaches its destination. With compliance in your pit crew, you can actually get to the end of the race. You can be on that podium or you can be world champion, depending on the resources that you have. If you don't include compliance, you don't think about ethical decision-making in your business, then all you have done is hired a very expensive clear-up crew. They'll be the ones that pick up the crash and clear up the mess when something goes wrong. Compliance is not an obstacle to your business. Ethical decision-making shouldn't be something you do when it's easy. But if you don't invest, if you don't put budget and resources into these functions, then the obstacle they become is that they can only say no when you ask them a question, or they tell you how much it's going to cost to get away from a major fine. Now, anywhere on the internet, you'll find there are 7 elements of a compliance program. And one of them is to appoint a compliance officer. But what many businesses do is they appoint somebody, they give them something to do, but they never involve them in actual discussions about where the business is going or what the objectives are of that company. And it's time for change. We have to stop creating paper-based programs. We have to stop giving people computer-based training programs where all they do is click through to get a certificate at the end when there's no actual business mindset change happening in those courses. And the Department of Justice in the US recently stated that they wanted to see empowered and effective compliance programs. Now, when that organization will hand you out a fine of $500 million when you get it wrong, isn't it time we listen to them? Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for sharing all that information with us, because it's we need to know. And also for sharing that you're constantly reinventing your journey. So we're happy to have you back on the stage 1 year later, more empowered. Thank you so much. And with that, I call upon Sonia Gandhi to speak with us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I would like to begin by an article which caught my eye recently. And the reason that article caught my eye is because the topic of that article is so relevant to what we are talking about today. The article by Patrick and Bennett is entitled, Geopolitics is Back and Global Governance is Out. And I love the lines which said, as the Middle East implodes and the planet bakes, one wishes the world would stand still long enough for governments to catch up. The fact is that today's most burning issues, whether they are terrorism or it's climate change, they are looming larger than they have ever done in the past. And the important thing is that none of these issues can be tackled purely by nations in isolation. They require concerted efforts by international communities, by all nations to work together and find solutions. They require a very high level of global governance and strong business ethics. So I'm going to leave you 3 thoughts today. One is a very, very positive tip in the field of business ethics and global governance. The other, not so great development, but it's a challenge we need to be aware of. And thirdly, a case for why business ethics are equivalent to great businesses. So as always, we must start with good things first. The development in the field of global governance that most excites me is the increasing diversity of global governance. Gone are the times when we only had United Nations Security Council or World Trade Organization or World Bank finding solutions to these transnational problems. In the contemporary era, there is an astonishing variety of global governance. In addition to long-standing universal membership bodies like United Nations, we have several regional institutions, multilateral alliances, security groups, ad hoc coalitions, issue-specific arrangements, and much more. So this proliferation, this diversification has done, it made global governance the field far more enriching and offered us many innovative ways to find solutions to the international problems. Second is something, a challenge which came to light during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. The recent decades of globalization have resulted in the world becoming far more interconnected, far more interdependent, and far more complex than it's ever been before. And with that, it's also brought the challenges of system-wide risks, which we call systemic risks, which is very well illustrated by the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. The most developed and the best equipped global governance system of all, international finance, was not well equipped to handle the final nuances of vulnerabilities of globalization. And I think there is a lesson in that for all of us to learn to build stronger organizations. Lastly, I would like to talk about good ethics making a strong case for good businesses as well. If you look at the history of last 20 years of the top 10 bankruptcies, more than half of them are a result of unscrupulous dealings, whether it's Enron, whether it's WorldCom, or it's Lehman. There are very good business reasons for corporates to have a strong, a committed, a robust, and effective culture of ethics. I would like to go back with what I started. As the Middle East implodes and the planet bakes, one wishes the world would stand still long enough for governments to catch up. There is a dire need for good decisions to be taken in this world for great corporate governance, and that should start with good ethical decisions. Join me tomorrow bright and early at 8:30 a.m. for my session on ethics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. We definitely will do. So 8:30, you please let us know when, where, how. We want to hear more of that. I'd like to call upon Louise Bennett. She's the co-director of Relaxed Birth and Parenting, coming from Birmingham, UK. Welcome, Louise.
Wow. Well, I never thought I'd be here standing up and talking about a subject that I wasn't really sure what I should start with. But my love and passion is working with mothers and babies and helping bring babies into the world peacefully. I'm not a midwife, I'm a soul midwife. So I work helping support the mother and the baby on that journey. And if it's one thing that we all have in common, it's that we were all born. And the way that birth is going now, here in 2017, is really quite scary. So there are places in the world where we are so run by a patriarchal system that stops the empowerment of the woman, the midwife is no longer free to practice in the way that she knows how. And generally, people are living in a way that is so fearful, so that they're frightened of actually being in their power and giving birth. So this affects us all, because we all live with birth. It's happening all around us at this very moment. So my message really is that we all have one power, and that is our power in our hearts. We're all light workers, and we're all here to do a very important job at this time. In all parts of the world, there's division, there's war, there's pain and there's suffering. We might not be able to help all of that change, but we can make that change one little step at a time. We can bring that little piece of light that transforms, that helps. And the way that we do that is what I think is happening here at this amazing conference, is that we're connecting, we're sharing our ideas, we're believing in ourselves. And I think that it's like we're on a pathway where we have two really big choices. We can choose that road of love, or we can choose to be in fear. And I know what choice I'm making, and I think by the very fact that I'm here and everybody else is, I think we're all making the same choice. So thank you very much, Delhi. Thank you very much, the Women's Economic Forum, for inviting me. I feel so honoured, and I know that I'm going to take these messages and this power out into the universe. My little beacon of light is going to get brighter and brighter. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Louise. That's what I say, that we're each other's best cheerleaders. Yes, we are. Woohoo! Thank you. And I'm going to pass the baton to Sanjana, and she's going to introduce herself, because we'll hear more from her at a later point. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, hi guys. Good evening. Namaste. Well, the topic was about the governance and the business ethics we have to follow in our business culture. Whatever the minuscule or the little contribution my company, my work culture has made to my government. If I talk about government, I talk about India. India, which is a developing country, and particularly in a very layman language I talk, it's ruled by some of the top 20 Forbes people. So when we talk about just top 20 Forbes people, there are people who are also contributing enough to the specific sector, whoever these people belong, these 20 or 25 people belong to these specific sectors. When I talk about the specific sectors, Sanjana Mohan, who is the managing director of Stimulus Research Services, where we research on different sectors, and every sector which adds on to the GDP. And these specific sectors, we come up with intellectual properties, 2 properties every year. The last property we did was in Hong Kong, successfully done. That property also supported my economy. What we did, we were supporting the small and medium enterprises by focusing on large enterprise to mentor them, tell them how this small and medium enterprise can contribute much enough, how much they're doing in more than that they can contribute to our economy to make our Indian economy a more developed place to be. With all the business ethics, and I really feel, I know some of my, all my friends sitting here, enough ethics, enough culture, enough in India, which brings all the economies together, whether it is through food, whether it is through tradition, whether it is through culture, whether it is through any other demographic. So these are the things, when we did such a huge event in Hong Kong and brought the company and Hong Kong at one particular forum, where the contribution of international economy also evolved, and it brought so much sentiments toward the our Indian society, and all the companies talking together and how they can uplift themselves from each other's idea evolved. That is the little contribution our businesses are making. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, with his initiatives like Skill India and Make in India, these are huge initiatives which I add on one initiative of the coming thing, which is going to have happen in July. I invite all of you to be in Dubai in July, to be above the luxury decor. It's a huge event which is completely focusing on luxury, and it is bringing all luxury sectors together, all luxury people together, different economies at one particular forum, and they're contributing, and how our Indian luxury, but we're contributing how Indian luxury goods, which are not just bad. If you talk about east, west, north, and south, every directions we have different things. Yeah, I know what time is up, and I have so much to speak, because I'm a writer by inside, and I'll follow the trend. Guys, we would wait more to listen to me in next session, Plenary. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanjana, for your very passionate words. We do want to hear more from you, we promise. So I'm going to take that into the awards ceremony, and it's my pleasure to call on stage two dynamite ladies to give away the awards this afternoon. I call upon Dorothy Githay and Venice Johnson to give away the awards to our speakers today. They blew us away in a session just before this. Welcome and thank you. I call upon Dr. Kaarthikeyan to accept his award as an iconic leader creating a better world for all. Congratulations, sir. Arzu, Ozyol, please step up and accept the honor. Dr. Jitendra Kumar Tripathi, congratulations, sir. You are an iconic leader, creating a better world for all. Oh, Dr. Jitendra Tripathi, yes, sir. Just in case it was a lady. Our next awardee is Julianne Robertson. Iconic woman creating a better world for all. I invite LaShonda Bracey to accept the honor as an iconic woman creating a better world for all. Let's give her a warm round of applause. We beautifully empowered women. I love this huddle. Calling on Louise Bennett. Louise Bennett from Birmingham, UK. Congratulations. That moment that I call Muna Onuzo as an iconic woman creating a better world for all. Muna. Sanjana Mohan. Congratulations, Sanjana from India. And my pleasure to announce Sarah Ross. Congratulations. You are indeed an iconic woman, creating a better world for all. Afternoon is Sonia Gandhi. Congratulations, Sonia. Ladies and gentlemen, please step up for a group photograph. Awardees.